Go blue, everyone. Michigan steals another one from Ohio State and gets yet another victory over them, and much more coming up next on Michigan Wolverines Live.
You guys should check out the Michigan Wolverine Live. They're out here doing great things, doing great podcasts, great live shows. They're really just doing their thing, help them blow up.
And go blue, everybody, and thanks for coming for another episode of Michigan Wolverines Live. My name's John Diadamo, and I'm going to be your host today. It's Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, our 152nd show. Holy crap. I do have a couple of quick reminders before we bring on our co-host and special guest. Please hit that like button. It just takes a second. If you do nothing else, it's free. And it helps people learn about the show. Hit the subscribe button. We are gaining on Ohio State. They're still ahead by about 1,000, but the gap is narrowing, and it's because of you. So keep sending this out. Keep hitting the subscribe button. And if you share this YouTube link out with a friend, or put it in a Facebook group, or put it in a Discord chat, all of that's appreciated. And if you want your comment or question up to the top, you can send us a super chat. And finally, and then we'll bring everybody on, YouTube memberships. So that's the other way that you can get your comment or question up to the top if you're a YouTube member. And we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But we want to bring on everybody. So let's start off with our co-host here and also the host of Thursday night's Michigan Wolverines call-in show live. TJ, welcome back.
What's up, John? Good to be back, man. What a show we got. A bunch of recruiting news, stealing key assets from enemies down south, and some other tidbits along the way. So we have a jam-packed show. It should be a good one, man.
Can't wait. And of course, joining us as he does very often, and we appreciate that. We've got Ferris Khan, who heads up our Smash the Numbers series, doing great work with that. And back with us here in the new locale, we've got Ferris. Welcome back to the show. Go blue.
Go blue. I've got my notes. We are talking. Don't freeze that. Those are secret notes. Hopefully you won't pause that there. But all right, I need the camera angle from the new Cal is locale, SoCal. I'm in SoCal, so I'm in Carlsbad, California today. In the process of moving. This is reality behind me, not a fake background. We're trying to figure out the move and everything, and it is great to be here and extending our hours by 3 hours. It's only a little after 5 here, so soon the sun will never set on the Michigan at the voice of college football.
I like the sound of that. We get someone from Europe. We could hit this thing 24/7, 365. This is great though, and a couple of things we want to remind everybody about while we have everybody. Of course, the Michigan Wolverines call-in show live, which TJ you head up Thursdays, and this week somebody's stopping by.
Yeah, the people might know him. It's none other than Big John Diadamo. So he'll be joining me this week, and the next week actually Ferris is going to join me. So we got a back-to-back with the boys, so that'll be fun. And then we have a special guest at the end of the month, which I'll save till maybe next week. I'll let everyone in on that. So that's going good. Also, me and Ferris have an interview coming up with a Michigan booster that we're really excited about. That should be out. We're hoping next week is when we'll launch it. So everyone be on the lookout for that. It should be a good interview. We're going to be doing the interview actually tomorrow. So everyone stay tuned. There should be some good intel on that one.
Absolutely. This is great. So if those of you who just noticed, I have changed the intro a little bit now that Micah's been by and has given Michigan Wolverines Live his ringing endorsement. So the interviews are starting to roll in. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, yet and hit the bell, what are you doing? Because every day there's something going on. So hit that bell and get yourself notified. It also gives you a handy 30-minute reminder, which is helpful if you're doing stuff and then you forget that the show's coming, and then you get a notification 30 minutes before the show. Oh, that's right. So you get a nice little reminder as well if you hit the bell and set it to all notifications. So it's for those of us who are running around, it can be very, very useful. Okay, let's talk about our breaking news, shall we? So Michigan has done it again. If Tony Alford wasn't enough, if that wasn't enough, how about the person who plans the official visits and the unofficial visits and other key recruiting events for Ohio State, Erin Dunston, who was recently promoted, and we'll discuss that a little bit as well, but was recently promoted at Ohio State, seemed to be doing very well. And Sharon Moore and company decided, let's do it again. And let's, we see this person's talent, and let's hire her as a director. And so TJ, I'll start with you on just like the significance of this hire, this steal from Ohio State, second one this offseason.
Yeah, so it's always good to steal top assets or high quality individuals that only make our organization, our program better. And what's good about this is, a few weeks ago we talked about how Christina DeRuiter was poached again by Harbaugh. Well, we just we fell upwards, boys. This is actually it's just like with Lou Esposito when we lost Greg Scruggs. This is another step up in just talent and skill. This is a fast riser in the in her field. She was just promoted in February to be the assistant athletic director for football and recruiting. She's a serious force on the recruiting trail. You can see many of the prospects, or a bunch of the prospects that she dealt with, are on Twitter just like heartbroken over it. She was responsible for the budget, on-campus recruiting, coordinating all the things that you talked about. And what people might not know is her sister is Jillian Dunston, who is now an assistant coach under Kim Barnes-Arico. So that's where your connection is. Extremely happy to have the addition. Again, this is, resources going to the recruiting department, making us better, only expanding. And also, we now know from not only a coaching level, but an administrative level, their entire recruiting process. We know where all the bodies are buried for the most part. And I'm not talking about anything, nothing with any practice tapes. I'm not talking about nothing like that. I'm talking about just like recruiting strategies, tactics, their negative recruiting approach, the way their recruiting boards are, etc. So, this is only a value-added addition to the University of Michigan. And, I think we definitely got a good one here, boys.
Yeah. I'm sure Ohio State and their fans have the stop the steal signs out now at this point. It is great that she gets to join her sister. I was going to mention that as well. So that's super exciting. I read that she also might have worked for the Tigers as well. So she might have another Southeast Michigan kind of connection here. So, it seems like a great, opportunity and some intelligence that we're bringing, literal intelligence, a very intelligent person, but also, our main competitor kind of moving over yet another person. This is just fantastic.
Yeah. So you have to, and some people are going to explain away this one as, well, Ohio State fans don't give a crap about this. Well, you should. And I'm going to explain why right now. The events, like planning events, I've been in the events industry almost a decade in my full-time capacity. And it's hard. I have personally planned, events with hundreds of people on yachts and all kinds of things. And it is like putting together the organizational structure for that. something called a run of show, which basically is a minute-by-minute breakdown of each day of the event and what is happening both at the staff level, what's happening public-facing. These things are there is a somebody at the head of all of that. She was at the head of all of that at Ohio State. And so if you look at how their recruiting has been, no one here has ever claimed that Ohio State sucks at recruiting. It's just the on the field that has been questionable. But recruiting, especially with wide receiver position, has been great. And even their other positions, 4 or 5 star talent. And I understand that we've attributed NIL to some of that, but also planning a great event is an art, because if you don't notice anything going wrong, that means they're doing their job. If you don't notice them, that is the point, right? That is the point of a great event. So planning the official visits, the unofficial visits. TJ, you've been following recruiting and the importance of these official visits. I mean, tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, about some of the things that these players are doing, even just from Michigan's side, like just some of what because I know that I heard from when I talked to Zach Marshall, he was talking about how one of the things that they do as part of it is they walk to the big house, right. They look around, and they say, would you like to play in front of 100,000 people on the big stage? Pretty much weekly. Big part of the recruiting pitch. So I mean, if you've any other pieces as well on that.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is these kids will come in like the night before. They get, if it's an official visit, they get a hotel, and the NCAA has kind of changed the rules here. They used to deck out the rooms with gifts, but now that's against the rules, even though you can show kids Lambos and shit. But so now essentially they throw a bunch of candy on the bed, and then that's the night. And then the next day in the morning, all the families and all the players, they go down there and they whoever their host is. So typically each player has a host, and then the host will show them, and every recruit has different things they're going to see. Now, whether it's an academic thing, whether it's the strength and conditioning program, whether it's more the football facilities, like every recruit has a different itinerary. But essentially, they will go through a photo shoot. They will try on the uniforms. They will do all of that. And most people who follow recruiting will tell you Michigan has actually been lacking in this department. I would say we do well on our official visits, but schools like Texas, schools like USC, schools like Ohio State, they hit home runs. Okay, this is where they excel in this area, where Michigan has been trying to play catch up, and this is a big way for us to get there. Like, our social media game has been down a little bit. Our photo shoot game has been down. There's been a lot of complaints about that, and she's actually ahead of all that. Like, this is what she's going to bring to the table. So, and then essentially, on the recruiting visits, some players will watch practice if there's practice. They'll watch the weightlifting if there's weightlifting. And then the parents and the families will meet with the coaches. And what Sharon Moore has done, so this is actually new, and I didn't bring this up last week. Instead of meeting in his office, he's now bringing the kids to a suite at the big house, which Ferris, you mentioned the picture where they were in that nice suite last week with Utu's family. That's the new approach Michigan's taking. They're no longer meeting in the coach's office. They're now meeting in a suite at the big house so they can look at the field. But that's essentially what goes on in a recruiting visit. And then some kids will then meet with other players. So there'll be players who will connect with players, and those players will take them out on the night. They'll check out Ann Arbor and get into a bunch of fun stuff. But that's essentially what goes down on an official recruiting visit. And this is, again, and these are so impactful, man, because like a person like her who excels at this position, official visits change everything. Like, you can literally be leading in a recruitment, and outside of NIL, the official visit itself can just sway a family, a player. I mean, we just saw it with the kid from Texas who went to Illinois. They on the official visit he took. He went to Illinois. I think I don't even remember his last name. He's not on the team anymore, so I don't care. But yeah, it's that simple. It's all it takes is just one visit. So, great addition for Michigan, and we should see our official visit and unofficial visits take it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, we're not glitzy. I will say that but on the other hand, do we how much glitz do we need? You show people that trophy case, and you show how stocked it is over the last few years, and that, I mean, I'm saying from my perspective that should be a large part of it. But yeah, I think we're probably missing a little bit of we have good steak, maybe we don't have the sizzle. We don't have totally the sizzle there. I do like some of the photo shoot outputs, but other teams go way over the top compared to Michigan, right? So
absolutely. Yeah, and like when it comes to the trophy case, like Michigan does that's an area where Michigan needs to evolve. Our trophy case isn't like, it's not to the level of some of these other schools. And it's not because we lack trophies. We have trophies. It's just the current aesthetics they have for it. But I mean, Schimbecker Hall they're improving that thing by the month. I mean, we're getting new locker rooms put in. I can't wait for those to be released. So I mean, look, Michigan is improving and is evolving in many areas. And and again, this just shows resources and focus. Michigan is not settling, and that's what's important. And I think we can all take that away from all these additions and recent improvements with the recruiting game.
Yeah. I see Tim's comment about the 1985 basement. Yeah, I've seen some of those, and I was like, "What is that?" It looks like wood paneling or something, and I didn't.
Yeah,
So anyway.
I think they were going for a retro look there. Like I feel like there was some intention, and I will say it's better than the LSU Brian Kelly dance videos. So. But yeah, I agree with you. So we did have a couple. We actually have a super chat coming in, and we have a couple of things. So we do want to thank Moose for upgrading his membership. So we've got here at the bottom of the ticker, if you become a member, your name gets added to this. So you can see which tier and everything else. So Moose has gone to those who stay will be champions tier, which includes a monthly hangout. So we'll be doing a monthly hangout every month with everybody who's at least at those who stay will be champions tier, which will be yours truly, TJ, Ferris, some combination, maybe some others stopping by as well. But thanks, Moose, for doing that. We also want to thank ZZM. We want to thank James Cooper, for becoming the inaugural member of the Connor Stallions tier. So thank you there, and Roy Messer as well. So everybody at the ticker that you see here has joined up for the Voice of College Football YouTube memberships, and we want to thank everybody for doing that, being the first members.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that hangout too. We're going to do our first one. We still have to get the logistics for that in terms of date and time. But I'm thinking, that's something we'll figure out, and we'll put something out in the community tab on the YouTube, and we'll see how that goes. But it should be a good time.
Absolutely, and we have a nice happy back and forth going in the chat here. I wanted Ohio State to actually do well against Missouri. I did, but they scored 3 points. So to say that Ohio State's product isn't questionable on occasion, I think you've got to look at the games that have been played, and there's a reason Ryan Day brought in Chip Kelly, right? If Ryan Day was happy with his play calling and his everything, he wouldn't have brought in his mentor Chip Kelly, because imagine that dynamic. But he does trust Chip to focus on the play calling. So there's one data point right there. I actually think I don't think that there's going to be a repeat of that in whatever postseason game they play in 24. I do think that was a good hire. So I'll just leave it at that. Nick here, we've got the $1.99 super chat. Nick goes hard in the paint. If you haven't seen Nick's work here, Nick enjoys to financially contribute to the shows. We appreciate that. I saw one of his last super chats while in the airport, and it was I always enjoy seeing them. U of M 38, OSU 21. 2024. Day gets fired before the game ends.
You
When was
hate
the
to
last
see
time
it.
that happened? Historians in chat, let us know when the last time a head coach didn't even survive the end of the game. That would be quite notable.
I want to say John L. Smith before, as he was coming to Michigan, but maybe that was just the rumors came out and they said, you know what, we got to stop this. But
yeah, I don't know. I think he'll at least get to do the press conference. Take some heat. But no, I don't know about that score. I think it'll be pretty close. One way or another. Okay. So let's see. Oh wow. Okay, we've got some bets going on in here. I'll let you guys go back and forth. But that's a big bet there.
all right, let's confirm first that Mark's account did not get hacked.
I think Mark,
we love it.
He's been pretty spicy today.
He's going hard, and we appreciate that. And to show our appreciation of Mark being in here, when you're doing your shopping on Amazon, as many of us do from time to time, go ahead and hit the link in any video in the Voice of College Football Network. Get yourself it helps the channel and the content that we're putting out there, the guests that we're putting out there, everything that we're doing. Help support. Hit the Amazon link if you're already going to be shopping. Then a couple of bucks comes our way, and to the Voice of College Football. So thank you for that. We also want to remind everybody we have a merch store. So check that out. Our buddy Joey puts that together, does a great job. We have a Michigan section with stuff. We've got 3 pages of Voice of College Football stuff. So thank everybody for checking that out. And why don't we go ahead now and let's see if we have any other YouTube member comments here. So remember that YouTube members get their comments and questions also put up to the top. So we got Moose here, who's both a mod and a YouTube member. Moose goes hard, and we appreciate that. We will get to Orgy. So, or we will. Well, we're going to be talking about quarterbacks. So we can definitely discuss Orgy because someone else asked us, who's a YouTube member, asked us about Orgy as well. Okay. With that said, let's move on to recruiting because Michigan has scored a commitment, TJ, 4-star defensive lineman Jaylen Williams, which you yourself, or if people have been watching Michigan Wolverines at the Voice of College Football, you would have seen Jaylen Williams lock that in. So it's now official.
Yep. So far, I am batting 1,000 on locked-in calls. I'm a little frustrated that there is a call that predictions. There's been some predictions coming in recently on a new commit, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So Jaylen Williams, newest Michigan Wolverine, big time addition for multiple reasons. Not only is he an extremely strong, gifted athlete in the trenches, but he's from Illinois and very good friends with Nate Marshall. There's a lot of buzz with Nate Marshall with his Auburn visit recently, but I am going to tell you this is a major asset for not only Michigan, but in the instance of keeping Nate Marshall in the fold. These guys are really good friends. They've been talking about playing together for an extremely long time. Now that Jaylen Williams is a part of the class, I personally do not think Nate Marshall leaves Michigan. I'm actually pretty confident about that. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is my concern level? It is a 2, only because NIL is a dirty game, and that's why it will be at 2. But I do feel extremely confident that Nate Marshall will be in Michigan's class on National Signing Day. Jaylen Williams is another great addition who will play on the opposite side of Nate Marshall. He will play in the 4-eye position, a close end position, possibly a 3-tech. We'll see as he gets bigger because right now he is 6'5", 290 pounds, guys. So he's a freaking monster. And if you look at our recruiting focus, a lot of his offensive line, a lot of it is defensive line, and this is another player you guys can get excited about. This is, just flat out, this is Lou Esposito being a dog on the trail. And again, you will see as the future continues, Michigan trench play, defensive line play is going to remain at an elite level. And this is another reason why. And the next recruit I'm going to talk about is Maxwell Roy, who's another defensive lineman. So if we could pull his tape up, John.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, I mean, so Maxwell Roy, this is the next player I want to hit on. He's a silent. I'm just going to be straight up about it. He's going to be committing the weekend of the 21st, official visit, Wolverines weekend. He's a silent. You can lock this one in. I've locked this one in. I missed Thursday's show, guys, so I want to apologize for that. But if you watch Big Ten Live on Friday on our main network channel, I did mention Maxwell Roy. This is another defensive lineman, 3-tech. This is another big boy out of the New Jersey area, 6'3", like 270 pounds right now. Another monster. So now you have Nate Marshall, now you have Jaylen Williams, and now you have Maxwell Roy. You better believe the boys are going to be hunting these quarterbacks down, and everyone in the Big Ten better be on notice because Michigan's not going anywhere. So, I mean, another dog in the trenches. He has great get-off, extremely strong, extremely gifted. I mean, look at him just overpower the offensive lineman, shutting the run game down. And when you can push the middle, it destroys an offense. Like, the game plan goes out the window. And these are the type of players we're getting between Jaylen Williams and Maxwell Roy. They potentially could be playing next to each other. I don't know if they intend on moving Maxwell to a 0-tech or a 1-tech. I do know that he is a very good fit for a 3-tech, and I would put Jaylen Williams, like I said, either a 3-tech, 4-tech position, that close end role. Think of Jaylen Williams in that Chris Jenkins role, okay? And then you want to put Maxwell Roy in that that 3-tech Mason Graham role is kind of where I'd put him. And then a guy like Nate Marshall is where you would put in the rush end Aiden Hutchinson 5-tech role. So very good players. The elite defensive line play will continue, and it's great to see. And then the next guy.
Sorry, TJ, before you get to Winston, I just want to make sure we hit this question. Is Lou Esposito Michigan's secret recruiting weapon? You've got Jaylen Williams. We just talked about Maxwell Roy and other commits that they've gotten recently. He's clearly doing something right.
Yep. Lou Esposito is an elite recruiter. Okay. Lou Esposito is not only an elite recruiter, he's also a great developmental coach. He's had a lot of guys make it to the NFL from Western when he was at Florida Atlantic. Extremely good coach. I mean, he's just crushing it on the trail right now. I mean, there's some other guys we are trending for, potentially a Marco Jones. If we land Marco Jones, boys, I'm going to tell you, this defensive line class is, I'm gonna have to look at the classes in the past, but this might be the best class in some time. I mean, I will have to look. There might be someone in the comments who will say another class year. I mean, last year's class was pretty good, but it had a higher. There were a few players we kind of swung and missed on last year. This year, we are hitting our top guys. That's really we are hitting our A1 targets. And Lou Esposito is no question an asset. Arguably, as it stands, we're looking at results, the best recruiter on the staff right now. So, I mean, Lou Esposito is a freaking dog, man.
Yeah, TJ, actually, before we move on to the next, these two players are very close in ranking. If you kind of look at the boards, I think they're even back-to-back at their yeah. So I'm just curious if you could only have one, which one? and you answered my other question about, is there enough of are they complementary enough? It sounds like they are, that we could go ahead, get both and feel good about it. So that's great.
Absolutely. And then also don't forget, another 4-star in the class is Bobby Kanka. We have right now 4 4-stars in the class. And Nate Marshall's a top 50 player in the nation. So we have 4 4-stars, Bobby Kanka, Maxwell Roy, Jaylen Williams, and Nate Marshall on the defensive line right now. And they're not done. They're going after Marco Jones. They're going after there's another kid. I have it right here. And they're going Julius Holly. Julius Holly is somebody they're going in. That's a name to watch. Marion Dye, I'm not feeling so optimistic about anymore. I've heard some things that things can change. I'm not all knowing, but I'm not as optimistic about that recruitment anymore. But Marco Jones and Julius Holly are 2 players to keep an eye on for the edge. Potentially the Sam position, which would be, for those who want to know what is the Sam position, that would be your, what's his name? Ojabo, what Ojabo played, David Ojabo across from Aiden Hutchinson. So, again, defensive line recruiting's at an elite level right now. We're going to keep it going. And then, did you guys have any more questions, or if we move on to the next?
Let's keep going. Yeah,
Go for it.
Dude, Kainoa Winston, boys, know the name because this is I'm locking it in, and I'm going to tell you right now, he's probably committing this week. This is your next Mike Sanders. Still, this kid is elite, boys. Great play recognition, great read and react. Has the ability to cover in depth. Has the ability to step up in the run. You will see as these highlight tapes right now. They're going to show some special teams plays right now. You will see that he comes up, he can stop the run, lays the freaking wood, dude. Like, he's about 5'10". He's obviously got some weight to put on, but obviously he's a junior in high school. He will do that. But we're adding, this kid is a top 100 safety in the nation, and this is another big get. We are beating Penn State, who has his cousin on the roster right now, who's going to be a first-round pick. And I just think this just goes to show you that the recruiting, I know some people are very questionable about our video a week ago, and I still stand behind what I said. I can't go into detail in terms of how much money is being guaranteed to players or anything of that nature. But what I can say is Michigan's approach has evolved. I mean, it just has. To what extent, I don't know. I can't confirm that because I don't have that information. But what I can say is this is now, when we land Kainoa Winston, this will be now 2 top 100 players in the class. And I was talking to John prior to our show today. Some of the guys I'm hearing we're trending for. Some of the guys this month, by the way, this is going to be a big month, especially this weekend. Thursday's night show, I'll go a little deeper on this weekend on the call-in show because we'll have more time to talk about it. But between this coming weekend and next weekend, there could be a lot of momentum. And I think you're seeing the momentum now, especially when Kainoa Winston commits to Michigan. E.J. Holland, I'm going to give a shout out to E.J. Holland. He just put a prediction in before the show. But you can ask the boys. I was texting our team the other day about this being a lock. I heard about this a little while ago. So a great get, man. I mean, this is for our NFL fans, this is a Brian Branch nickel safety hybrid type player. This is your Mike Sanders still of the future. And this is, again, a top target that Michigan went for and is now landed. And we just beat out Penn State. He is from the D.C. area, and he has family on Penn State. Okay, just like understand the hurdles Michigan was able to overcome to land a player of this caliber, because we were talking about an elite player here. So kudos to Michigan, and let's fucking get it. Like, at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. This is the level of player we're looking for, and Michigan is at this time landing these players. So good for them.
Yeah, number 1 player in DC and number 3 safety in the entire class.
Yep.
And you see the Sanders still comparison with the amount of impact he has on special teams, on defense, his ability to get to the ball quickly, and make impact plays. You're going to need that to replace a player like. Although, is there a possible? I mean, that guy might be a Hall of Fame, top player ever now, Sanders still. But I think you could see some real similarities there, Ferris. Yeah,
and I did point out in the chat that first play looked exactly like Sanders. That was he has that. He appears to have that. Of course, we're talking about high school here. So, just curious though, TJ, are you feeling more optimistic about Michigan football recruiting than you were, I think, exactly a week ago?
So it was maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I said, "Where's the aggression?" I was a little concerned, but I also said we have to give the official visit season. We have to remain in observation mode. I am feeling good about it, and I'll tell you why. Because I was telling John, and I mentioned, when you look at the players we are in on and the players we are starting to trend for, then some of the players that we are in top 2s with, and the intel that's coming out of those visits, things are looking optimistic for a lot of guys. And I'm thinking, as it stands, Michigan could get a top 12 class. Now, look, we all want a top 10 class. Okay, I know we all want that. I want that. But if you can get a top 12 class, that's where we've been the last few years. I'm not mad at it. Obviously we just won a national title. I would like to elevate that to a higher level, but I'm not mad either because the quality of player we're getting, the foundation, like Michigan is literally trying to acquire kids that will not be jumping in the transfer portal like some of these other programs. Like this is why they have the approach they have. Now, again, I'm not co-signing, everything that Michigan does in terms of NIL, because I do want more aggression in that area. But listen, the team is winning. As long as we can recruit at a similar level we've been recruiting at, and the portal is always available. Yes, I am optimistic. I think if we can land some of these guys that we will be talking about over the next few weeks, Michigan's going to be all right. Like we're not going to take a dip. We're not going to regress, and that's what many of us just don't want to see. We want to remain at an elite level at the Big Ten, the new Power 2, and continue to be in the college football playoff. So to answer your question, Ferris, yes, I am more optimistic. And with the rumors or things that are trending our way, I think we can all be pretty excited for what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, at a very high level, we lost our head coach. I mean, we did win the national title, but we lost our head coach, rookie head coach, lost most of our staff, the Ohio State bobbleheads. I call myself bobblehead guru, but I'll call them the Ohio State bobblehead gurus out there. They said Grant was going to leave, and Edwards was going to leave, and Loveland was going to leave, and Johnson was going to leave, and everything was going to fall apart with Michigan. If after all that we're at number 12, and as TJ, as you correctly point out, Michigan recruits ahead of their ranking, right? They recruit ahead of their ranking, so they're able to find the diamonds in the rough that maybe don't go to camps, that aren't ranked as high but should be. So if you add all of that up, finishing around 12 or whatever, and not keeping almost everyone intact, getting that coaching staff rebuilt. Let's go. We should be able to get through the season, maybe lose a game or two, but we're in the playoffs. That's really what we can do with this, right? So
right. And like also if you look at where is our recruiting focus, offensive and defensive line, like we are in on, there are 2 offensive linemen. Like I mentioned this before. I feel extremely good about Hardy Watts. Douglas Utu, I'm feeling really good about. And then Douglas Utu is a top 100 player. Okay, another top 100 player. And then his teammate at Bishop Gorman, who I'm going to butcher this name, but Cu Alo Fadi Uli. Okay, he's a center, another top 100 player. Like Michigan, what has Michigan had the biggest challenge in getting? Players in the top 100. Okay, well, we are looking very good for multiple top 100 guys, and that is because, and I know we got some flack. I've read the comments in some of those videos about Michigan's NIL approach and the guaranteeing of money. I'm just going to let you know, I received a text from a second source saying if Dusty can guarantee money, you don't think Sharon can? Now look, what is Sharon's policy to? I don't fully know what Sharon is offering anyone. I don't have that intel, but what I can say is Michigan is doing more than they were. That's what I know, and I feel confident in that. And the recent results and the caliber of player is telling me that there's truth to what we know. And we're also going to take an approach where fuck words, results are what matters. So we'll see through commitments. Like we'll see the reality of what we know, and time will tell. But at the end of the day, recruiting seems to be trending up for Michigan. And if you look at a lot of classes, and I'm kind of going off here, there's a lot of schools in a similar position we are. We have 6 total commits right now. Miami only has like 7 guys. Miami's one of the biggest NIL spenders in the game. There's a lot of schools. There's a lot of schools in that 6 to 9 commit range right now. It's still early. We have time, and this month is going to be a big month. I can guarantee that. I know it's going to be a big month. So just get ready, get your popcorn, and enjoy the show.
TJ, I would just want to point out one really smart thing you just said. If Dusty can do it, Sharon can. Well, the one that stuck out to me. If Dusty can do it, then Wait a minute. I
Right.
thought we were a football school, not a basketball school. Look what
Right.
Dustin's
Yeah.
doing. We should be able to,
Exactly.
Sharon Moore should be able to do the same thing.
Right. You think Dusty's the only one who can guarantee money? They said, Sharon, no, I'm sorry. No, that's not how that's working right now. I just don't know the figure. Like, we are not highest bidder. I know that. We don't know what Michigan's offering. That's the only thing I don't know. I mean, I know about the Marquise Davis situation, but I don't know about some of these other players.
Well, guys, yes, I think, and we've talked about recruiting before. I think the Dusty May point is there. Like, you don't get Scottie Pippen Jr., I feel like, if you're offering $0. But again, that's, I'm not a basketball expert, but I don't know. That seems unlikely.
It's not even that either. It's some of the transfers we landed. I mean, look, Vlad Golden, right? The center we got from FAU, guys, he didn't come for free. A lot of these transfers we landed, Michigan's projected to have a top 25 team next season. Okay. I've seen some early projections by some publications on college basketball. Dusty May does a 30-minute NIL meeting every day. And it's not because players are not getting guaranteed money. Okay. Like, the reality is a lot of money in Michigan's NIL budget is to player retainment. Now, Michigan's not unique. There's other schools that have a lot of talent that teams have to retain. And look, a lot of those schools have $20 million in NIL. Michigan has $11.5 million in NIL right now. Last I've had confirmed. So look, like, Michigan still needs to do more. They are aware that they need to do more. Even when revenue sharing kicks in, I know this, they are extremely aware that they still have to get money from donors. So, and, we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully Michigan can continue to evolve and grow. And they have shown that. They have not shown stagnation. They showed stagnation in the beginning of NIL the first 2 years, but in the last, I'd say 15 months, it's been nothing but growth. So we'll just have to see where they go. They're not done yet.
Well, folks, they aren't. And I think this is the beginning. I think we'll know. And I said this a week or two ago. We're going to know more in like 3 or 4 weeks what's up. And now you're starting to see a couple of commits, and things start to go. And we do want to real quick thank our new members.
Absolutely.
Because you want to talk about those who stay will be champions. Well, Nick and the Bull Will Win have both just signed up to be a YouTube member in the Those Who Stay Will Be Champions tier. Thank you to Nick. Thank you to the Bull Will Win. That means a lot. If you want to join them both, we're posting the link all the time in the channel, and you get to be part of our monthly hangout, as well as other things like the emojis. Check out the emojis, everybody who just joined. There's 5, and we'll be adding more. There's the Ohio State emoji, the Connor Stallions emoji, the Block M, the winged helmet, and the Go Blue so far.
Yeah, just one quick point about the Bull. The Bull Will Win. He challenged. He said, you know what, Ferris, it was a good video, but I wanted to see more numbers. He wanted to see more numbers. That's what I did. I went into a much deeper dive. Went for 25 minutes in the last smash the numbers. Not sure every video will be that long, but it's great to see others care about analytics, want to see the numbers in detail, and the Bull Will Win. Thank you so much for the suggestion.
Yeah, honestly, thank you guys for joining the channel. To the commenters, to the moderators, to our new members to the channel. There's more to come. We're going to keep growing, keep evolving, and stay tuned. And looking forward to that hangout. It's going to be a good one, man.
Absolutely. So thank you all so much for that. And we will continue to put the link in the chat. You can also hit the join button. There's also a link at the top of every description. I mean, you can't miss it. At the very least, just go and look at the tiers if you do nothing else, just to see what you could get if you did sign up. You'll notice that the people who are members also have a little badge next to their name. They've got the emojis. We already know, I think, what our next couple of emojis are going to be, or at least we have an idea. So you'll start to see some new ones as our members go up. So if you want an emoji, we don't have it yet. Well, become a member, and then we'll have more space to add emojis just for you. So thanks everybody for supporting, and if you can't, don't worry about it. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. If financially you can't, give to the channel, that's fine. Just, do us all a favor and, like, share, subscribe. Also, for those who don't know, another way to give to the channel is when you guys see ads on videos, don't hit skip. We get paid for ads that do not, if you guys hit skip, then the channel does not make any money on ads. If you guys watch the ads, that's a way to give us money for free. So we greatly appreciate it if you guys were watching ads for the videos and, give that way. I mean, if anything, that's YouTube paying us. That's not $1 out of your pocket. So, again, thank you to the community. We appreciate it. And, one thing I promise, and we're also we're going to keep you guys updated every step of the way. The channel is only going to get better. Just wait till the start of the season. We have a lot of things planned. So, we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Anything to add, Ferris, before we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. I mean, I think we hit 7,000 and then we just kept going. And we've got all kinds of momentum here. The path from 6,000 to 7,000 versus 7,000 to 8,000. I'm much more optimistic of, kind of gaining the next 1,000. So thank you all.
Yes, thank you. And so let's go ahead and talk about Jack Tuttle. So there's been some chirping going on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hey, John, we had 2 more. We got I wanted to hit on Shakai Mills-Knight and Shamari Earls.
Oh, snap. Sorry about that. Yep.
You're good, man. You're good. So I wanted to give an update on these guys. So Shakai Mills-Knight, he took an unofficial visit, which is a big deal. He's a kid from the South that took an unofficial visit to Michigan on his own dime. And by all accounts, it went really well. And this is my #1 running back crush right now out of all of our running back targets. This is more of a personal recruitment for me. After losing Marquise Davis and having my heart stomped on, I found a new crush. And this is him. So pause, by the way. And so he's looking to take an official visit the week of the Texas game. And so that's something to keep your eyes on. I do think Michigan's going to take 2 running backs in the class. If I had to make a prediction now, Jasper Parker is going to be visiting this weekend. I do think Jasper Parker is going to be in this class as a running back out of the Louisiana state of Louisiana. I do think he will be joining the class. And I would say in the second running back, I am hoping is Shakai Mills-Knight. Michigan is doing well there. We'll just have to see how that one goes. Moose made a comment earlier, so I guess I'll touch on this now with Jordan Davison, who's one of the top running backs in the nation out of Mater Dei. Michigan did extremely well this weekend on the official visit. The good news is they did kill it. And it went really well. The pause is his next 2 official visits are Oregon and Ohio State. So those 2 official visits are really going to tell the trajectory of that recruitment. I will say there's optimism on Michigan's side, but again, official visits can change anything. So I'm in wait and see mode. After those 2 visits with Oregon and Ohio State, I will give an update on that, and we will. We'll definitely touch up. We'll definitely follow up on that one because that's a major recruitment. If we could land him, shit, I'll tell you what, boys, we're really cooking then. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So that's the update there. And then the last player I want to hit on, John, and this is a big one. So cornerback recruiting for Michigan has not been. I would argue this is an area, a position of concern for me, along with running back. Also a position of concern for me right now in this class or this cycle. But they're about to get a major player this weekend, and it's Shamari Earls. He's committed to South Carolina. He's a top 100 player. In my opinion, he's a 5-star talent. He's 6'2". He'd be the best cornerback since Will Johnson, and he is very receptive to Michigan. He's, like I said, he's already committed to Michigan. They were able to they were able to get him up here, and he is going to come for an unofficial on his own dime, June 13th, for a multi-day unofficial, by the way, which also is a big deal. And then he's going to take an official visit later in the year. Just like Chicago Mills Knight, which is why these are important recruitments. They have come up here on their own dime. A lot of kids are not willing to do that. And then not only come here for an introduction and see things face to face, they're going to come likely for a game day in the season. And that'll be Michigan's opportunity to capitalize and secure the deal. Major recruitment here. We will definitely be following this along the way. So stay tuned to Michigan Wolverines Live at the Voice of College Football, because we will have all the updates on all of these recruitments.
And Ferris, before you go, on Shakai Mills Knight and the running back core, there is another player, and I understand that this is a depth player, but Leon Franklin, who had announced, and he had been a walk-on, he decided to transfer, but look, I count that as a small as a win that Tony Alford was able to keep him at Michigan. He was looking at other places. He decided to stay at Michigan. That's something. And if that then is followed by somebody like Shakai Mills Knight coming to the university, then I think maybe people's tune might change a little bit on Tony Alford, because I think that's notable, what he's doing both behind the scenes and up here.
Yeah, I mean, if we can land Shakai Mills Knight, man, like this is an elite. This is a kid where the ranking has not met the player. This is a top 150 type player, and he's like I'd put him up there with Marquise Davis. I mean, Marquise Davis, I would still say, is the better running back prospect, but not by much, man. These two are extremely gifted running backs, and if we can land them, dude, I'll tell you right now, that would be another breaking news. We might do an emergency a video podcast for that one too, because that'd be a big get.
Okay, before I get to my point, there was some chatter about kind of explaining an unofficial visit, why it means something. TJ, if you want to kind of cover that question, yeah.
So unofficial visits are extremely important because, one, the players have to pay for everything, absolutely everything, from hotel rooms to gas or travel or food. The school is not allowed to pay for anything. Does a cheeseburger ring a bell for you? They can't even pay for cheeseburgers, bro, let alone Lambos, which you are allowed to pay for these days. But so unofficial visits, kids come up on their own dime, and it's really a big deal for the kids who are further away, who are in the South or out in the West, the California area, or Northeast, whatever. So if you can get kids to come up for unofficial visits, that shows it's a tell that a kid is really interested in your program, because then they are saving their official visit for whether it be a game day or an official visit. Like this weekend, we got 3 more weeks or 2 more weeks of official visits until the dead period hits. So, that's the difference between unofficial and official visits. I will say, if a kid takes an official visit, though, typically that means a little more, because you only get so many official visits. Although I've seen some gray area with that. I think the rule has evolved where kids have unlimited official visits. But I don't know. The NCAA is always playing with the rules, so I'm not quite sure what the official rule is now. But so that's kind of the difference between unofficial and official visits. Oh, also, let me say this. Unofficial or official visits are typically multi-day visits, so typically 3 days, sometimes longer. Unofficial visits, because they are on your own dime, sometimes are only a day. So when a kid takes a multi-day unofficial visit, it's even more impactful. It kind of just shows a kid's willingness to really learn about the program, and it gauges an interest level.
So we do have a question from brand new YouTube member. The Bull will win. How many kids do we think we're looking to take in the 2025 class?
Yeah, so the number you should all right. So the NCAA is looking to change the rule to 85 players only. That rule is not in effect yet. So and right now with NIL, there really is no scholarship limit. But I would say every class going forward until the rule is implemented at 85 player limit, you can look anywhere from 25, anywhere from like really 22 to 30, but 25 is basically the number. But understand this: say an Andrew Balboa, who's going to be visiting this weekend. 5-star offensive lineman who is currently leaning Stanford, but Michigan can make a move if they knock it out of the park this weekend. Because he's a high academic kid, obviously, Stanford. Say we're at 25 and Andrew Balboa wants to commit, well, we're going to 26. Or say we're at 27 and Andrew Balboa wants to commit, we're going to go to 28. It's that type of thing. Like certain players, they'll get in the class. So try to like 25 is kind of where we're going to, the classes usually end up. But it could be a little more, it could be a little less.
All right. And thanks again, The Bull, for your membership. So, all right. Now, sorry about that earlier, but now we're going to go and talk about some of the chatter that's going on that Jack Tuttle may be considered a starting quarterback candidate for Michigan this season. And I want to start with 2 points, and I'll take it over to TJ and Ferris here. Jack Tuttle, his time as a quarterback, okay, in 19, 20, and 21. I understand he didn't start a lot of time, if any, but you know he was in the 50s for completion percentage in 19 and 21, 51%, and then 54% in 2019. So 2020 he did a little bit better, 61%, but you know, in time when he had meaningful completions and attempts compared to what he's done elsewhere and at Michigan, you know, people are saying Orji was in the 50s in high school. Well, if he can get up to 62% in college, that's better than what Tuttle has done. I think Tuttle is a great backup. I think Michigan historically in the Harbaugh era, at least the last few years, whether it's an Alan Bowman type, you know, some of these quarterbacks that have come in and they're depth players, right? They're there because you want to have some experience in that quarterback room. And let's face it, who has more experience than Jack Tuttle on what, his 7th year now? So I think he's great as a QB2 or QB3. I do not think he is the answer at QB1 because Sharon Moore said himself, and this is point 2, Sharon Moore said himself that he wants somebody that can run the entire offense. He wants somebody who can run all the plays. The fact is, I don't think Tuttle or Davis Warren, for that matter, are able to execute the RPOs and the running aspects as well as Alex Orji. And for those reasons, I'm still putting Alex Orji above Jack Tuttle and Davis Warren. But I'll let TJ and then Ferris chime in on this one.
I think I'm going to let Ferris go ahead of me because
Okay.
Yeah, let's let Ferris hit it first.
All right. Well, yeah, I put in the chat a point I've made before that if Tuttle is the quarterback for Ohio State, I will support him. And he's going to go ahead and beat OSU and then go straight into collecting Social Security. He is one of the oldest players of all time, maybe at Michigan, you know, at this point. The quarterback room is so full. I would be surprised. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with injuries, etc. I think the best case scenario is that Orji gets to the magic number that we've been talking about. You know, maybe I'll just do a full analysis of this. He gets to that 62% completion. He keeps his interceptions down. Michigan's passing about 35% of the time, or 35 to 40% of the time. They're running about 65% of the time. And smash, you know, we're getting a good yards per carry. We're getting good yards after catch. You know, maybe Orji's throwing a few short ones, and that works. Yes, he does need to throw some long balls as well to keep the defense honest, but it doesn't have to be all game. It can be, you know, here and there, just to kind of keep the defense honest, so to speak. So, you know, that's my mindset right here. I'd be surprised if Tuttle won. I mean, if I were to say, okay, how could he win? Maybe it's injury. Maybe it's he took a major step up, but I don't really see how that's possible at this point. Maybe he knows the offense so well, from a mental standpoint. Those are the ways that Tuttle could be quarterback. I just don't see it right now. I think they should think about Orgy 2024 as being kind of like a Milroe 2023 or something. Milroe had a fantastic year last year, so I wouldn't say exactly the same, but 85%, 80% of Milroe from last year. That would be the dream hope there. And then you still have Davis Warren. You still have Jaden Denegal. I mean, I don't know where Jaden Denegal is going to go, but he's still in the room, right? So, and then you still have Jaden Davis. So big quarterback room, so to speak, right? So go ahead, TJ.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, if Jack Tuttle is our quarterback, we're in trouble. That's where I'm at with it. I am not optimistic about Jack Tuttle, but the good news is I don't feel like I think respectfully, they have to make Jack Tuttle seem like he's really in the competition, in the battle. I also know there is a group or a contingent of Michigan fans who believe in Jack Tuttle. I think you're crazy, but I respect you because you're a Michigan fan, and we're all in the same family, and everyone needs a crazy uncle. So it's okay. You're just the crazy uncle. But personally, we're going to be fine anyways because we do have Alex Orgy. We do have Davis Warren. I think Jack Tuttle is nothing more than a security blanket. Not only a veteran in the QB room, but in case of injuries, an emergency break glass type of quarterback. I do think Alex Orgy or Davis Warren will be QB1. I do not think Jack Tuttle will be QB1. I'll own that shit, and then if I'm wrong in the season, I'll take my L, but I'm pretty positive. And I'll say this too, if he is QB1, I'll take the L, but I'm not optimistic on the results because if you look at what he did at Indiana, it just wasn't it, boys. It wasn't it. It's not to Michigan's. It's just not to the standard of play that we'd want. I'll tell you that right now.
And we did have Isaiah Hull on our show a while back, and he commented on Jack Tuttle that he wasn't optimistic at the performance based on what he kind of witnessed at Indiana. And so I just think, for all those reasons, great depth piece, great experience for the locker room to help some of the younger players out. I think that there's value in that. Moose said Michigan goes 7-5 with Jack Tuttle. I don't know about. I mean, that's low, but I definitely don't. I wouldn't be going 10-2 prediction if that was the case. So, okay. Final topic today is really just thinking through Michigan's 2024 schedule. I said I'd talk about this on Thursday night. We just kind of ran out of time. But Ferris had some thoughts as well. Based on some of the work he's doing for Smash the Numbers on which game out of all the games in the regular season is the most important game in the Michigan schedule.
All right. So I am going to give you my numbers-based response. I didn't feel this way kind of going into it, but after I did a statistical analysis, analytics kind of analysis of it, Michigan has 3 big games, right? So early in the season, they've got Texas. Middle of the season, they've got Oregon. And at the end of the season, they have OSU. The hope is that they're going to run the table on all of the other games, the other 9 games. Now, is that possible? I think realistically, in my analysis, I did say that basically it would be 0.8 losses out of those 9 games. So that doesn't sound that great. It's not quite 1 loss, but it's closer to 1 than 0. So there may be a hiccup there. I would say the hiccup might be that Washington game. They're going to the West Coast. They are going to be favored by a lot. But I have an uneasy feeling about a game on the West Coast, Michigan traveling, kind of a part of the way through the season here. It feels like a game that they could potentially lose. I hope I'm wrong, but
Washington
that's
game.
yeah, that's what I'm nervous about,
No.
just because of the
Good.
travel
Washington's
and
gonna be
things like that.
poverty fairs. Washington's gonna be
Okay,
poverty.
all right.
Man. They got new
we'll
coach.
see what happens. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I'm just
All right.
worried about sort of the circumstances in the schedule. Now, in terms of the most important game of the season, certainly most people would think, okay, it's got to be Ohio State. But because of the way that we now have a 12-team playoff, if you look, I'm taking emotions out of it. I'm going to say this in a way that's probably going to be emotional to some, or emotional response to some, but I believe that the game is really more of just a game from a statistical standpoint. Michigan, assuming they do run the table, they don't have that hiccup. They don't have the hiccup with Washington. Maybe a hiccup with, or a hiccup with USC. That's the other game I was going to point out that could be a hiccup. If they don't have a hiccup with either of those, they run the table with those 9 games. They would have maybe 2 losses, maybe 1 loss or 0 losses. Now, realistically, if they have 2 losses, they pretty much have to beat Ohio State to make it. So then it does become important. But they kind of, they had used up all their mulligans. That was their safety net last way in to the playoffs. Now the Texas game, it's early in the season. Is that the most important game? Well, if they beat Texas, they have an inside track to the playoffs. They have an inside track to win the, not only get in the playoffs, but win the Big Ten or get to the Big Ten title game. So there's that. But if they lose the game, it's just a mulligan. It's almost like a mulligan. They can make up for it by winning the Oregon game.
Right.
And if they go 1-2 in those 3 games, they run the table and everything else, I think they're in the playoffs as a 10-2 team. If they go 9-3, I think it's less than 50% chance, probably closer to 1-3 chance that they make the playoffs. So given all that, regardless of whether they win or lose against Texas, if they can win that Oregon game, that is the most important game of the season. It's a night game. It'll probably be a maze out. If I were to go to one game, that would be the game. That is the pivotal game in the season, November 2nd, Oregon Ducks. More important than Ohio State, more important than Texas. That's what the numbers say, and I'm not going to get emotional about it, and I'm going to say I agree with the numbers. That is the game we need to win in order to make the playoffs, or to take it even the next level where we say, hey, we're going to win. We're at least going to get to the Big Ten title game.
So, let me let the viewers in on. For those who might not know, Ferris is our analytics analyst. He's a numbers guy. So, that's the approach he takes on a lot of things. And definitely, I think that perspective is extremely valuable to our channel. And so for anyone who's wondering, well, why is he's unemotional and it's strictly a numbers thing for him? Well, because that's Ferris is a numbers guy. That's his approach to things. So a lot of people, and probably including myself, will say, well, Ohio State's the most important game, because my argument would be, Ferris, say we lose to Texas and Oregon. Let's just say hypothetically. As long as you beat Ohio State, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? And now your argument is, well, if we beat a Texas or an Oregon, we have a mulligan to lose the Ohio State game. That's your argument, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think
right.
It either gets you in the playoff hunt, or it gets you to the even higher upper tier. We're going to even get a bye hunt, depending on what happens between those 2 games. Right. So.
Yeah, no, I think I think both arguments are sound, because at the end of the day, it comes down to you can only afford 2 losses. The game you lose isn't necessarily, but obviously it's not quite that cut and dry. There is some gray area because what if say you lose to Oregon and Oregon actually sucks? They won't, but hypothetically, right? So I hear you, Ferris. I think your argument's sound in reason. I think, but I mean, I will just say, I think Ohio State's still the most important game because, and I'll say this too. So if I could rank it, I would say Texas is least important because it's a non-conference game. Now, obviously, it might be one of the most impactful because it's so early in the year, and that's a major prime time matchup, and it will really set the tone for the season. And obviously, we want that victory, and I think we can get that victory. I'm optimistic Michigan can win. I think people are not looking at what Texas has lost, but this isn't a Texas debate right now. So I would go Ohio State, Oregon, Texas in terms of priority. That would be kind of my ranking. What about you, John?
Yeah. So I think that we're coming at this from the angles of are we looking at the games that'll give us a buffer to get through the season, or are we looking at historical, or like how are we analyzing this? I do think that there is something to be said for setting the tone early. Beating Texas with Quinn Ewers coming back, I understand they've lost a lot on defense. I get it. But they are preseason ranked number 2 in ESPN FPI, I believe 2 or 3. They're very highly ranked. Joel Klatt has them, I think, top 2 or 3. There is a perception there where Michigan kind of needs to beat them in order to be seen in people's eyes as a top 5 team. And then on top of that, I do think that trickles over a little bit to the College Football Playoff Committee because they're watching these games too. They're people. Yeah, they've got various amounts of experience in football. But I just think that beating Texas would set the tone early for the rest of the season, right? And maybe if you drop one like against a USC, it's not going to be seen as unfavorably. If you've also lost the Texas game on top of that, then Michigan's in danger, right? Because then, oh crap, you got to run the table, because I don't think Michigan or anybody really is getting in at 9-3 unless they do something crazy like beat a top 2 or top 3 team that they're not supposed to beat or something like that.
Yeah, the only way Michigan gets in as a 9-3 team is if all 3 of the other 3 teams, OSU, Oregon, and Texas, are all in top 5, maybe top 4, something like that, where and OSU, Oregon play each other. So I would see that as difficult. I think the loser of that game is going to slip a couple spots.
Yeah, and we are going to, by the way, see, stay tuned at the Voice of College Football, because we are pretty pumped about some of the upcoming crossover content, and hopefully we'll all be on each other's shows. We have a weekly Texas show. We have an Oregon show here at the Voice of College Football, and I'm looking forward to having some discussions. TJ's already had a debate with Matt Miller, the host of Horns Huddle. So that was just the beginning of some of the crossover content that we're gonna be doing. Sounds like we all had different answers. Like all of us had different answers. I said Texas. TJ, you said Ohio State. Ferris, you said Oregon. I will say I think Ohio State, from an emotional, a historic perspective, it is still going to be the best rivalry in all of sports from a ratings perspective, the amount of money it generates, and my other evidence just being, look at every single chat in the Voice of College Football Network. If it's a USC show, if it's an Oregon show, whatever, you get Michigan, Ohio State back and forth. I mean, you don't get that with Alabama, Auburn. They're not fighting with each other in the Voice of College Football chat. So I know that's not a very scientific look at it, but
well, let me ask you a question. Well, first, I'll just kind of close my final argument with Michigan's a 9.5 point underdog to OSU. Mm-hmm. So the statistical argument factors that in, that, hey, that's a very low probability. You are totally on thin ice. If you lose the other 2 games, you're pretty much very high probability, 25% chance or less that you're going to win that game. High probability you're going to lose that game. So that's sort of factored into the analysis. I think we win that Oregon game, we feel pretty good. But let me ask you the question about pretty good about at least making the playoffs. Let me ask you the question in basketball. Do you care as much about Michigan beating Michigan? I'm not even going to think about Ohio State, because to me, Michigan State is the arch rival. Do you care about sweeping Michigan State, or would you rather have Michigan get to the Final Four, but maybe they get swept by Michigan State? You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing we're going to have to start thinking. Our mindset's a little bit different. Do we want to make it further in the
TJ,
tournament?
you take that because you're the b-ball guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Ferris is right. I'd rather make it to the Final Four and get swept by Michigan State. But I don't know. I hear the argument, and I guess we're gonna have to experience it to see. But I don't know, man. I don't know if. I mean, look. Would I rather lose to Ohio State and win a national title, or make it to the Final Four in college football? Shit. Yeah. I think I would. I would rather. I want another natty, dude. It means more. I mean, it's more important. I wonder. We're definitely have to make a poll question in the coming weeks on what people would rather. Maybe closer to the season, we'll do that. But yeah, I mean, I guess you're right, Ferris. But I'd rather just do both. How about that?
Fair enough.
Fuck Ohio State and give me a national title. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, that's a tough question, and I there are a couple of Buckeyes in here. What did you think in 2022? Because you were in the situation in 2022 where Michigan took you to the woodshed at Columbus, but then you had the opportunity to sneak into the playoff and were a midnight kick away from probably beating TCU and winning a national title. How would you have felt? Because that was pretty close to happening. I think Ohio State would have had TCU, honestly.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I mean, just I know a lot of Ohio State fans they would take that, and they were happy as hell to get in the playoff, man. After they lost to Michigan, so many Ohio State fans were like, all right, what are the chances we get in? What are the chances we get in? And a lot of them were like, oh, it's not going to happen. And then when they got in, they were happier than hell, man, which I understand. Like, there's no slight against that. We would be too. But I'm just saying, like, I do think the rivalry means everything. And this is kind of like where people think the rivalry might be getting watered down with all these games and the expanded conference and the expanded playoffs. I think that bye weeks and home field advantage in the playoffs are going to mean a lot. And that rivalry is going to be a big reason why someone might get a bye or might get home field advantage in the playoffs. I still think the rivalry is going to mean a lot. I don't think it's going to lose value, but I do understand. I am understanding the argument of college basketball gets swept by Michigan State, still make it to the Final Four. I don't know. I think college football is just a little different, but I guess we're just going to have to see.
Okay. Just quick side note here. I just looked up the prices. Get in the door price for the Oregon game and the Texas game. Texas is hovering around $500 a ticket. Oregon's only at it's only at $200. So, just a little tip here. If I were to choose one of those two games to go to, I would go to the night game Oregon.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
well, Roy says let's win them all. So let's just win them all.
Why not?
Why not? Yep. Okay, everybody. Well, listen. It is a lot of jam-packed content. If you missed our breaking news discussion, it was at the beginning of the show. But a huge pickup, on the staff side, the second one this offseason from Ohio State. So definitely rewind and check that out if you missed it. But let's go ahead and do final thoughts and where could people find you. So let's start with Ferris and what you have coming up and where can people find you.
So you can find me on this channel. I love being part of this. You guys are great. It's great to work with you. So I really appreciate both of you. We are publishing a Smash the Numbers every Monday. In addition to that, TJ is helping me with an interview of a booster that is coming up. So look for that. We can't get into too many details at the moment, but you are really going to enjoy this conversation. That it's coming up in about a week, probably at some point next week. You can find me on Instagram. I do our shorts, so look for some shorts on this channel as well, but also on Instagram and TikTok at Bobblehead Guru.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
check out Smash the Numbers. Great series, and look, I'm really excited to check out that interview, Ferris. It's very exciting. We're going to build an entire playlist. Okay, I've been working on the playlist over the last couple of weeks, and we are now starting one for interviews. So I'm going to be putting in the one that I did with one of the NIL collectives. I'm going to be adding that to it. We obviously have Micah from last week. And we'll be continuing to add these interviews in. So if you do what I do, which is put on playlists before you go to bed, or you're just kind of in the background, check out the interviews playlist, check out the position group breakdown playlist, the general. If you just want to listen to all the ones from this off season, you could do that. If you want to listen to all the ones from the 2023 season, you can do that and just hit play and go, and you can just kind of drift off, like Bob Ross style, as we do sometimes. All right, Ferris, listen, I appreciate you stopping by again and everything you do for the channel. So just know that, and we'll be seeing you.
Thank you.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
All right, TJ, you are up.
Hey, great show. Killed it. Also anyone who came in late, we had a bunch of recruiting updates earlier in the show. Check those out. We got the Thursday call-in show, 8:00 Thursday. Call in. All topics are available from recruiting to team to college football as a whole. We're here for it all. John is going to be joining me this week. Extremely excited to have my boy with me on the call-in show, so that's good. And I'm going to hit on to open the show, official visit weekend. Well, if I got what to look for, maybe some news I might have for you. We'll see. And just stay tuned to the Voice of College Football, the Michigan Wolverines channel. And yeah, man, I mean, another great show, John. Extremely grateful to be doing this with you and building the channel.
Likewise, and I'm pumped to be on Thursday, and we'll be taking your calls in the community. So I don't care if you're a Wolverine or any other team. Everybody's welcome to call in as long as you're respectful, and we have a respectful discussion. Start doing stupid shit, then we'll just kick you off. But as long as it's we had a 30-minute. I think you were on. We had a 30-minute conversation with the Buckeye that was really productive. And then another Buckeye stopped by. We literally had. Oh yeah, and him too. So we've had at least 3 recently, and so we have respectful conversations, and we'll jab each other a little, but it's not just open to Michigan callers; it's open to the Voice of College Football community. So definitely call in, also excited to watch you and Ferris on the interview. So very, very cool.
Yeah, it'll be a good one, man. I'm looking forward to it. She is a very interesting individual. So we'll let our community get to know her, and we got some good questions, and we'll see how it turns out. We are hoping to have it ready for next week, and then we'll go from there.
Can't wait, TJ. All right, I'll be seeing you in a couple days.
All right, John, go Blue, man. Go Blue, Wolverines Nation.
Go Blue. And then my final thought is thank you, everybody, for hitting the like button, for becoming YouTube members. We've gotten multiple YouTube members just on this show. And you could look, it starts at $2.99. You can find it in your couch cushions. Okay. Leaders and best tier. Those who stay will be champions tier. Connor Stallions, reconnaissance team. Any of those. doesn't matter. We would appreciate it at any level. But at $4.99 and up, you get your comments highlighted specifically, just like Super Chats. Monthly hangout. That's really great. The espionage team. That's right. Connor Stallings espionage team. But even at $2.99, you get the emojis. You get thanked. You get to be part of the ticker. So if you can, that's great. If you just want to sit back and watch the ads to help us that way, that's great. Hit the like button. That's great. Whatever you can do. We're just so happy you're all here, and that every week we're growing and we're building. And so thank you all for stopping by. Really do appreciate it. My name's John Diadamo. You can find me on Twix at John Diadamo. And I do this show, and you'll see me on Thursday on TJ's show, 8 p.m. Eastern. So tune in for that. And until next time, go blue. We'll see you around.